There's nothing quite as satisfying as taking something that's destined for the compost heap and reusing it. And in today's video, I'm going to be taking carrot tops and turning them into natural dye. If you're new here, my name's Becca. I'm a hand spinner, knitter and natural dyer, and you are very welcome to my slightly echoey conservatory here in my home in West Wales. If you're an old friend, welcome back. So I'm actually recording this on Boxing Day. So if you don't live in the UK, that is the day after Christmas Day, so 26th of December. And these carrots 2 days ago were in my garden and we pulled them, had the carrots with our Christmas dinner. And now these tops, I'm going to extract the colour from them and I'm going to dye some cotton and some wool. A good rule of thumb is that you need twice as much dye material to the weight of wool or cotton or fibre, whatever it is that you're dyeing. And I've got 250 grams of these lovely little carrot tops. So I'm going to use no more than 125 grams of fibre wool. Well, in my case, actually, it's going to be a little square of cotton and a nice skein of wool. So they need to be a natural material because we are natural dyeing. You cannot dye polyester or any of the synthetic fibres with a natural dye. So it needs to be 100% natural fibre that you're going to use. So there are a few safety precautions that we need to take. We don't want to be inadvertently poisoning ourselves. So only dye in pots and pans that are specifically used for dyeing. Do not make up a dye pot, finish dyeing, and then go and make your dinner in it. It might sound like I'm being a bit belt and braces, but better be safe than sorry. So the first process we're going to do is actually extract the colour, and I'm going to do that by the hot water method. So I'm just going to pop outside and fill up my stainless steel pot with some rainwater, put in my nice little green leaves, and then we're going to cook it up on the stove. By the magic of editing, it's the following day and my dye has been extracted. So here it is in this big pot, and I put it on the stove, brought it up to simmering point and kept it there for about an hour. Then I let it cool down. I actually let it cool down overnight, but you don't have to do that. You could go on to the next stage once it's at a sort of temperature where you're not going to felt any wool that you put into it. Now the next stage is actually adding our fibre, and in my bowl here I have some cotton, a little square, just some fibre and some yarn, and all this has been pre-mordanted, and I have got a video on the channel about how to mordant wool using aluminium sulfate, which is what this has been mordanted with. I also have a PDF which you can get for free if you sign up for my newsletter, and I will leave that in the description below. Now, the cotton is mordanted with aluminium acetate. It is on my list to add to the channel, just haven't done it yet. So you never know, if you're watching this in the future, I may well have made that video. So what you do is just let these sit in a bit of warm water for about an hour because the dye is absorbed more easily to it. I'll quickly run over the mordanting process. To cold mordant, which I have to tell you is very easy, and for years and years and years I used to hot mordant. I've completely gone over to cold mordanting because it just is so easy. So weigh your fibre, fabric, yarn, whatever it is that you're going to dye, and then you need 10% of that weight as your aluminium sulfate. So if you're dyeing 100 grams of fibre, you need 10 grams of aluminium sulfate. I will leave a link to aluminium sulfate. You can buy it all over the place, but you can buy it very easily on Amazon, and it's used in all sorts of processes. It's a naturally occurring mineral salt. People use it in water purification. They use it in pickling, so it's fairly kind of non-reactive stuff. But I just think it's always better to use either glass or stainless steel to make up the mixture, and make sure that you only use pots and pans that are specifically for dyeing. So hot water from the kettle, put your powder in, mix it up, so in a jam jar or something, then add that to your bigger pot where you're actually going to do the mordanting and dissolve it. Then add whatever it is that you're mordanting and leave it overnight. Take it out, rinse it, and now it's mordanted. And what the mordant does is it means that the molecules of the dye actually stick to the fibre better. So it's like keying a surface. When you're painting a wall, piece of wood, you sand it off to key the surface so the paint sticks to it. Essentially, mordanting is kind of like doing that process. So you're keying the surface of the fibres, so more of the dye is going to stick to them and you're going to get a nice brighter colour. There are dyes that you don't need to mordant with, but carrot tops, definitely you get better results with an aluminium mordant. So you can also use an afterbathing process, and again there is a video on the channel all about afterbathing with iron, and I'm actually going to wait and see what colour I get before I decide whether I'm going to do an afterbath. Okay, so next process, I'm going to strain off my dye pot, so take out my dye material, and then I'm left with the dye that my fibre, fabric and yarn is ready to go into. Then we go back onto the stove or your heat source, bring it back up to simmering point, and you want to keep it at simmering point for about an hour. So here's the dye bath, and you can see we've got a good colour change. And I'm just going to fish these out. I've got just enough iron mordant to do a modifier on the yarn. There was 50 grams here, and I've got just about a gram of iron mordant. I have a full video on using iron to modify your colour, which I will link in the description. So very quickly, I use a separate pot, and I only ever use this for iron, and I've just found a deceased insect in it. So rainwater in my iron pot, going to dissolve my modifier, or iron mordant in this case, in some hot water, add it to my rainwater, add my yarn, bring it up to simmering point, and probably I won't even get to simmering point before I start to see a colour change, and at that point I will turn it off the heat. Iron can make wool very brittle, so I don't want to make this brittle, so I'm going to give it just a very little bit of heat until I get a colour change. So there we go, we have a colour change, and I literally just brought that up to simmering point and turned it off. It was enough to get a colour change. I'm going to let that cool down a little bit before I start handling it, because I don't want to felt the wool. And once it's all rinsed and dried, I will show you the results. Here we are back in the conservatory, and my samples are all dry, and we've just got the alum and just the carrot tops, and it's very nice sort of yellow ochre, and then the skein of yarn where I put that little bit of iron in the afterbath is sort of got a green tinge to it. One of the things you have to remember is that different times of the year you will get different results. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to put it in my little dye journal and put the date and the recipe I used, and I just sort of put little samples so that I know what sort of colours I'm going to get what sort of time of the year. I've also written a how-to blog post that goes with this video so that it's got all the amounts in and the method that I used. I've also put the hot Mordanting method in there because I didn't describe the hot Mordanting method, so you can either use the cold or the hot Mordanting method. So that's me done for today, and I will see you very shortly.